right, good morning, everyone, and soon to be afternoon. My name is Sean Hurley. I'm Regional Vice President for Enterprise Holdings, now Enterprise Mobility, here in Middle Tennessee. We operate Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Alamo Rent-A-Car, National Rent-A-Car, as well as some other mobility lines. Here in Middle Tennessee, we've got about 35 branches, and we employ roughly just under 1,000 individuals. So our company's had a long-standing partnership with the Urban League, both nationally and here locally for many decades. And currently, I serve as the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors for this chapter. So I just want to welcome everybody to the 56th Annual EOD Luncheon. Equal Opportunity Day is our Super Bowl. And we're incredibly thankful for all your support in coming here. We're here to celebrate the impact and the achievements of the Urban League over the last 56 years. And although we know there's still plenty of work to be done, we're incredibly optimistic about the future. I'd love to thank our amazing President and CEO, Clifton Harris, for the amazing job that he does every day. And thank you to the incredible Urban League staff here in Middle Tennessee for the hard work they put in every day, every week. And I'd also like to thank my fellow board of directors for their impact. And lastly, thank you to all of you for your continued support of the Urban League and letting us make an impact. At the end of the day, we're here to make sure that we are able to call Middle Tennessee home and be proud of that home. So let's celebrate today and have a great lunch.
Thank you, Sean. On behalf of the Urban League Board of Directors, I welcome you to the 2024 Super Bowl EOD Luncheon. I'd like to echo Sean and sincerely thank each of you for taking the time to celebrate with us and our illustrious organization for the outstanding work and steadfast commitment to serving citizens of Middle Tennessee. Thank you for being among more than 500 community partners, businesses, civic leaders, volunteers, and supporters who have gathered here today. For 56 years, the Urban League of Middle Tennessee has advocated for policies that close the equity gap, as well as provide direct services that improve the lives of thousands of individuals and families. Our programs focus on economic and workforce development, education and job training, entrepreneurship, health, housing, and overall quality of life. We are fortunate to have the support and attendance of several elected and appointed officials who are joining us today. Would each of you please stand? I'd also like to recognize members of our board of directors who are with us today. Would each of you please stand? Also, please join me as I recognize and thank the amazing, awesome, outstanding Urban League staff, led by our President and CEO, Clifton Harris. Please stand. Got to stay on script. At this time, I'd like to ask board member, retired Senator, State Senator Brenda Gilmore to come forward and introduce our great mayor.
Good morning, everyone. I am Brenda Gilmore, and I don't quite feel retired yet, so I will get there. Thank you, Valinda. I am pleased to introduce Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Where is he sitting? Right here. The 10th mayor of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Prior to being elected mayor last year, he served on the Metro Council from 2015 to 2023, representing District 19, which includes downtown, Germantown, and parts of North Nashville. In his time on the Metro Council, Mayor O'Connell worked to limit the impact of poverty, to strengthen neighborhoods, and to make sure that everyone participates as our economy grows. I think that deserves a hand clap just like that. He saw an overhaul of the Metro Homeless Commission, as well as an increase in the number of Nashvillians who benefit from property tax freezes and rebates. He has experience in Nashville software and startup industry, most recently as an integration architect for HealthStream, and he served on numerous nonprofits, civics, and committee boards. Since 2007, Mayor O'Connell and his family have lived in the Salem Town neighborhood. He and Dr. Whitney Boone, a physician educated at Meharry Medical College and now attending child neurology at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, have two young daughters, Haley and Violet, who attend Metro Nashville Public Schools. The family shares their home with their adopted Coco Bean. And as another career, after his successful term as mayor, and we know he'll be reelected for a second term, you may find him DJing almost anywhere. Join me in welcoming our mayor, Mayor O'Connor, to the stage.
Well, good morning, everyone. I told Coco Bean, our little Yorkshire Terrier, that she may get a shout out today, and she was very excited when I left the house. Thank you, Senator Gilmore, and thank you all for being here. It is extraordinary to see this room full, and I will say Nashville has enjoyed such an extraordinary Black History Month. I know I saw several of you all as well last night at the Metro Council Minority Caucus's reception, and it has just been great to see these large crowds for important causes, and today is one of those, Equal Opportunity Day. And I guess I'm looking out and I think most people are on the Chiefs out here today, so if it's a Super Bowl. But celebrating 56 years of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. This work is as important today as it ever was before, in part because of what we just heard about Nashville's growth. So thank you to President Harris, the board members, for your leadership, and thank you to the Urban League for driving equity, inclusion, and belonging in the city we love and have chosen to call home. I'm excited to be joined this morning by Dr. Isaac Adai, who leads our small and minority business efforts in the mayor's office. We have kept him very busy, and it's busy that he loves. You will probably see him all over the community just as I am. This is, for us all, a very special Black History Month. We're celebrating some landmark anniversaries that we commemorated at the incredible conference that TSU and Metro Historic hold every February and have for decades, the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board, the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the 60th anniversary of the end of the poll tax. The story of in this country of civil rights has a cadence. It often feels like two steps forward, one step back. And that means it's a story of resilience, resistance, and persistence. It's a story about people, some of them barely adults, and many of them from our local HBCUs who have regularly put their bodies on the line and used their voices to secure the rights we now enjoy but continue to have to fight for. Their gift is a debt that can never be fully repaid, but it can be told as we pay it forward. It can inspire us today, and it can illuminate our path moving forward. And that is how I consider my role as mayor. In many ways, I look at myself as partner in chief. It's the best model of local governance I saw in Nashville growing up. And we are proud to have Urban League as a regular and consistent partner to what we do in Metro. Nashville is one of the few cities in the United States to have an equal business opportunity program, and we are proud of it. Since the program's inception, $900 million in contracts have been awarded to Black and women-owned firms. Dr. Adai and our Economic Community Development team have been working, especially this month, to highlight the ways that our DBE community can work with Metro. Our finance department now uses a budget equity tool to make sure we're data-driven about capital expenditures. There is necessarily a lot of focus on the East Bank as we work toward building out an area around a new Titans Stadium that's under construction. But we're trying to do the work that we learn, best practices there across the board, across the entire city. So a few notes there. We've just invested $10 million in an entrepreneurship center at Fisk University that will support business incubation and startup growth across the community. We've invested in cost of living measures, ensuring that our historically Black colleges and universities enjoy a transit benefit program already enjoyed by other colleges and universities, allowing faculty, staff, and students to ride without paying fares. We've invested $17 million in the new Dr. Ernest Rip Patton Jr. North Nashville Transit Center, which will connect 9 bus routes when it opens in just a few months. And with the help of TSU students, we're working through a $2 million SMART grant to implement safety improvements along the Buchanan and Clarksville Pike corridors. This is an incredible opportunity for students to help shape the areas close to the campus that they are calling home or an academic home. We just got Metro Council approval last night, or actually 2 nights ago now, for our first capital spending plan, which includes not only smaller things that will have a big impact, like a new Hadley Lillard Park library, but also a huge investment in Metro schools. And I just came from one of the most exciting announcements in our first few months in office from the Matthew Walker Comprehensive Healthcare Center, where a partnership with Nashville Health and others in a large collaborative is going to be focused on reducing hypertension and lowering blood pressure in the 37208 zip code, where I reside and have for the past almost 17 years. And I was there to announce a $1 million commitment for Metro to support this project. Beyond those investments, we've established affordable housing and transit as 2 of our top priorities moving forward as we try to lower the cost of living in Nashville, which has risen as the city has grown. We're making progress on housing through fully funding the Barnes Fund and the establishment of Metro's new housing division at the planning department. And I mentioned transit because it is affordable housing policy. Access to transit was the key to my own pathway to home ownership. More people deserve that opportunity. The cost of transportation is nearly equal to the cost of housing for most households in Nashville, and it's past time we tackle our transportation issues so that Nashville becomes a more livable city, a place you want to stay and can. We're going to offer voters a transportation improvement program this November, a choice for a better, more equitable, affordable way to move around the city. I know that Urban League has been part of a coalition speaking to the importance of dedicated funding for our transportation and infrastructure for some time. We will, this year leading up to that vote on November 5th, have one of our most important conversations about creating more and safer options. This is about financial empowerment and quality of life. It's about deciding what kind of city we want to be and who gets to belong in it. Being able to get around where you need to go safely, easily, and cheaply is critical. It ties back to how we value people and whether or not they're going to be able to stay here in the future. And I will say, speaking for Metro, all of this adds up to a vision for us in the mayor's office, for me personally, continuing to advance policies anchored in equity, inclusion, and belonging, because these policies reveal our strengths. And one of those strengths is the fact that this is such a crowded room on Equal Opportunity Day. You, the members and supporters of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. Thanks to each of you for being present, for believing in the work of Urban League, and for believing in the promise of this day. I am here as a partner and excited to celebrate with Urban League of Middle Tennessee. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, good morning, everyone. This year, I get the honor of introducing to you a man that some of you may know and some that do not know, which is our national president, who was here a couple of weeks ago, and we had the pleasure of having him do a special video just for you. So the National Urban League president and CEO, Mark Morrell, unfortunately is unable now to be with us today. However, like I said, he was in town a few weeks ago, and while here, he spent the morning with the staff members and the board of directors talking about the National Urban League's 2024 agenda, specifically his D3 initiative to defend democracy, demand diversity, and defeat poverty, which is our theme for today's event. While here, President Morrell take the following message that he wanted us to share with you this morning. So at this time, we're going to ask that you cue up the video. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark Morrell. I serve as President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Urban League. And the Urban League of Middle Tennessee in Nashville is one of our 92 affiliates across the nation. I want to welcome you today, and I want to apologize for not being able to be with you in person. But importantly, let me say thank you to Clifton Harris and the entire board of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee, your hardworking staff, the guild members, the young professionals, and all of the community supporters, whether corporate or philanthropic or governmental or faith-based or community-based. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the collective work to ensure that the Urban League of Middle Tennessee is strong and viable and having an impact on the community. Today in America, we are at a crossroads, a very important crossroads. We've seen our nation come back from the scourge of COVID. Indeed, our unemployment rate, and let me just say, the black unemployment rate, is about half of what it was in early 2021. The nation's economy is growing again. Inflation is easing, yet many Americans are still having a tough time making ends meet. But also at this moment, we've seen a disturbing rise in hate crimes, an unacceptable wave of attacks on the racial progress we've made as a nation. These attacks, which disguise themselves as some sort of meritorious effort to undermine diversity, equity, and inclusion, are absolutely wrong. To the extent that anyone is attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion, what they are attacking is American values. What they're attacking is the very essence of what this nation has always been about, and that is economic opportunity for each and every one of us. So in 2024, the National Urban League is inviting all of its affiliates and supporters to join it in a 3-point call to action called the D3 campaign. And let me go through those. Number 1, defend democracy. We must defend, we must promote, we must protect the right to democracy, the right to vote, the right to free and fair elections, to have a political climate in this country free from the type of violence we saw on January 6th. 2021. Number two, we must demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. Demand it we must, because we are 60 years since the passage of the Civil Rights Act of '64, which bent the arc of this nation, its moral arc towards justice. We're 70 years since the Supreme Court issued the decision of Brown versus the Board of Education, which quote unquote ended legal segregation in our public schools. These two landmark anniversaries should remind us why the America we live in today is not perfect. It's an America with many great challenges, but it is an America. When it comes to the quotient of justice and opportunity, that it's a better America than 1964 or 1954. So we must demand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the third D is we must defeat poverty. Every one of us has an opportunity, or should have an opportunity, to participate in the full prosperity of America. The racial income gap is still too wide. The unemployment gap is still too wide. The wealth gap is even wider. We must not only make it possible for people who work every day to make ends meet, we must close these economic gaps, these racial gaps, towards an America which is fair, equal, and one of economic parity for all. So D3, join us in this call to action. You can go to nul.org to see more. And finally, Nashville's on the upswing. And Nashville is a very important city in this nation. Nashville, I'm going to challenge you to lead the way when it comes to defending democracy, when it comes to demanding diversity, and when it comes to defeating poverty. You can be and should be and must be a leader. The prosperity of this community is a prosperity that we want it to be shared by all. So, Urban League of Middle Tennessee, congratulations on all your work. Clifton Harris, keep on leading. And I hope to see all of you at the National Urban League Conference in New Orleans in the summer of 2024. And hopefully, in a few years, we'll bring that conference right here to Nashville.
Good morning. I'm Misha Maynard, Pastor of Operations at Cathedral Praise Church and a proud board member of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. We decided to move this around because you've already started eating, so I thought we need to do this invocation pretty quickly. If you would just join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, in this moment of reflection and unity, we come before you with open hearts and minds, seeking guidance and strength. We lift our voices in prayer, focusing on the values that bind us, all of us in this inclusive community. We pray for the defense of democracy, recognizing the precious gift it is to be able to participate in shaping our collective future. Grant wisdom to our leaders, the political, spiritual, business, and community leaders. May they govern with justice, compassion, and a commitment to the principles that uphold freedom and equality for all. Give us boldness and courage to demand and embrace diversity in all of its forms, and then help us to break down the barriers that divide us and to celebrate the richness of our differences. Open our minds to understand the value in learning from one another, fostering a spirit of inclusion and understanding that transcends borders, cultures, and backgrounds. And in the face of poverty, we pray for strength to defeat its grasp on our fellow neighbors. Inspire us, God, to work together tirelessly to create a world where every person has access to basic necessities of life: food, shelter, education, and health care. May our collective efforts eradicate the systemic injustices that perpetuate poverty, allowing all individuals to live with dignity and hope. and then grant us the resilience to face the challenges ahead, the compassion to lift others as we rise, and the commitment to build a world where democracy, diversity, and prosperity flourish for the benefit of all. Now, Father, bless the food that we have already eaten or are about to eat, and may it give us strength to fulfill your will as we give our service back to you. Amen.
As you continue taking small, appropriate bites of your carrot cake, I have the distinct privilege of introducing our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker today is Dr. Sidney A. McPhee, the president of Middle Tennessee State University. Any MTSU alum in the house? Any TSU alum in the house? Dr. McPhee is the 10th president and has presided over one of the most remarkable periods of growth and progress at the university. President McPhee has earned a bachelor's degree from Prairie View A&M University in Texas, a master's degree from the University of Miami, Coral Gables, Florida, and a doctorate in applied behavioral studies and education from Oklahoma State University. Prior to Dr. McPhee's appointment as president of MTSU, he was the executive vice chancellor for the Tennessee Board of Regents system. In addition, he's served as TBR's chief academic officer and interim chancellor. Dr. McPhee also served in various senior level administrative capacities at several major universities, including Oklahoma State University, the University of Louisville, and the University of Memphis. As an academician, his work has appeared in numerous local, national, and international professional journals. His scholarly pursuits include international lectures and presentations in numerous countries, including China, Japan, South Korea, Israel, Belgium, Canada, England, Brazil, Ethiopia, and the Bahamas. Since his arrival to MTSU in 2001, he's led the university through a period of unrivaled growth and success. He's helped MTSU ascend to a position of higher education leadership with unique and innovative academic programs that attract students from all across the country and the world. During his tenure, the campus has grown in student enrollment and academic quality. The university presently serves over 20,000 undergraduate and graduate students annually. The construction and renovation of facilities total more than $1.5 billion. And most recently in the Princeton Review, he's been recognized as the fifth consecutive year. They've selected MTSU as one of the best colleges in America, one of 4 universities in the state. Since President McPhee's arrival at MTSU, they've raised admission standards, they've increased enrollment of high ability students, and added more than 50 degree programs, 2 colleges, and 20 institutes and centers. Currently, Dr. McPhee is a member of the NCAA Division I Board of Directors, the Board of Trustees of Monteverde Academy in Florida, the Board of Trustees for the Chairs of Excellence Trust Programs in the state of Tennessee, the Murfreesboro Noon Rotary Club, the SunTrust Bank Board of Directors in Nashville, and the SunTrust Regional Bank Advisory Board in Murfreesboro. Dr. McPhee was honored as the 2018 recipient of the American Red Cross Hero Award. He was named Outstanding American University President by the American Football Foundation. The Nashville Post-Business magazine recognized him as one of Tennessee's 100 most powerful individuals, and he was ranked by Business Tennessee magazine as one of the state's top 50 most powerful African Americans. Other honors bestowed upon Dr. McPhee include the Phi Beta Sigma Southwestern Regional Meritorious Award, appointment as an honorary professor at North China University of Technology, and as adjunct professor by the National Center for International Research of Bioenergy Science and Technology. He's received a Hall of Fame induction by the R.M. Bailey Senior High School, his alma mater in the Bahamas. And most recently, he was recognized for presidential leadership at the 2024 Diamond Awards ceremony in Georgia. He's married to the lovely First Lady Elizabeth McPhee, and they have 2 adult children, Dr. Sidney Anthony McPhee and Dr. Seneca McPhee. Let me speak on a personal note. He is a leader's leader. I've gotten to know Dr. McPhee in my 17 years of tenure at First Baptist Church in the beautiful city of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I can truly say he's one of the brightest and most gifted leaders in this country. And so it is my distinct honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce to most and present to some Dr. Sidney A. McPhee, the 10th president of Middle Tennessee State University. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor McCarroll, for that very kind, and some might say very long introduction. Well, good afternoon. I always, even though she's introduced, but I want you to know that I am who I am today because of 43 years of marriage to the First Lady of MTSU, Liz McPhee. Liz, would you stand so that they can see you? And of course, we have our daughter, Dr. Seneca McPhee, here with us. I'm very proud that they're here to join us in this very special day. Well, it's indeed a pleasure to be with you, all of you today, as we gather on the 56th Annual Equal Opportunity Day Luncheon in the great city of Nashville, Tennessee. This is an appropriate time when we, as a nation, meet to celebrate the achievements and contributions of many past and current leaders in our Black community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly fitting that Equal Opportunity Day is observed during the month of February, which is Black History Month in our country. We really should be observing it 12 months of the year, right? Yes, indeed. Now, while it is clear that we have much to celebrate and honor, it is also a reminder that we still have much to do. In fact, the events of this past weekend in this city, each of us, of the challenges we face as a community and a nation, this past Saturday afternoon in Nashville, we were invaded by a despicable group who promoted hatred and bigotry. They marched down our streets attempting to intimidate and inflame. But what they found, ladies and gentlemen, however, was not a city that gave into their presence, but a community that stood together, not as black or white, gay or straight, but as a united family that clearly said to them, "Get the hell out of this city." So it is in that spirit of unity, repeated over and over again, that will guide us in the future as a nation. Now, when I received the invitation to speak with you today, I must admit that I was humble, somewhat taken aback, and definitely experienced some insecurity when I saw the list of some of the previous speakers at this very special event. Over the past 56 years, the Urban League of Middle Tennessee has engaged the Nashville community with some of our nation's finest minds and innovative leaders. Being exposed to these incredible thought leaders representing many aspects of government and business is a remarkable benefit to our community and to each of us who call Middle Tennessee home. So while we share similar belief at Middle Tennessee State University, as we are committed to open discourse, and discussion about cultural issues facing our society, and have maintained a storied tradition of highlighting the needs and the challenges of our African American community during our own Black History Month. In fact, I firmly believe that providing a forum for those sometimes very difficult discussions where opinions and perspectives vary widely is one of the most important responsibilities of our American university system and our society at large. So just last year, we brought author Dr. Imani Perry to campus to discuss her latest book entitled, quote, South to America, about the region's complex cultural history, where she also expressed concerns that many of us share about the troubling efforts and the political forces to water down and in some cases prohibit the teaching of Black history in this country. And prior to Dr. Perry's appearance a few years ago, we were fortunate to host one of your previous speakers, Nikki Giovanni, on our campus, where she inspired our students and members of our community with her wisdom and insightfulness. Her works encourage many. And a famous quote of hers is one that I find particularly relevant for today's gathering. And I quote, "There is something to do, always something to do. There are hungry people to feed, naked people to clothe, sick people to comfort and make well. And while I don't expect you to serve the world, I do think it is not asking too much for you to love those with whom you sleep, share the happiness of those whom you call friends, engage those among you who are visionary, and remove from your life those who offer you depression, despair, and disrespect." End of quote. It is also particularly appropriate that we gathered here on this Equal Opportunity Day at the Music City Center, located on the John Lewis Way. If that's not a fitting symbolism, I don't know what is, ladies and gentlemen. On a personal note, former Congressman, the late John Lewis, was a fraternity brother of mine, a member of Phi Beta Sigma. And I had the incredible honor of sharing a panel with him in a discussion in Washington, D.C. a few years ago. Now, while the late congressman was rather small in stature, he was a giant of a man, fearless, determined, and committed to ensuring that all men and women, regardless of race, wealth, or prestige, would be free to pursue their dreams. His words and actions serve as a roadmap to all of us who seek equality for our fellow countrymen. And I'm honored to spend just a few minutes sharing my thoughts and perspective on some of the pressing issues facing the Black community today. But also to lay the context for my comments, I defer to you the words of President Andrew Shepard. Have I confused you? Some of you might be looking at your phone to Google, who's this Andrew Shepard? In total transparency, ladies and gentlemen, President Shepard is a fictional character in the movie The American President. He was a compassionate, caring leader who seeks to guide the country with morality and integrity. He finds himself lost in the morass of an American government at least until he finds his own virtuous compass at the end. So while speaking to the White House press corps in the heat of a highly contentious re-election campaign, President Shepard offered these words, and I quote, "America isn't easy. America is advanced citizenship. You've got to want it bad because it's going to put up a fight." End of quote. We all can relate to that. That's the same message that the late former U.S. Congressman John Lewis believed as he fought for the rights of others, and that Nikki Giovanni so eloquently wrote about. Let's say, change is hard and requires that we can't rely on others. It is up to each of us individually to make things happen. But that is what makes our country great and what separates us from the rest of the world. These inspirational leaders, both real and fictional, understood one key tenet of our society. Actions do speak louder than words, but it is the words that create our call for action. They are inseparable. We must constructively and respectfully listen and learn from each other before we can properly and effectively react. This is the root of all civil discourse, and it is why, with a grateful heart and a profound humility, I come to you today. As president of one of the state's largest institutions in higher education, I have the responsibility of overseeing a unique community of nearly 30,000 people on our campus on any given day. I say that our community is unique because it is one of the few places where you will find a gathering of people that is diverse as our campus community. Our Blue Raider community is truly representative of all of the people of Tennessee. We have students from 95 different counties in the state, 45 different states in the US, and 73 foreign countries. And our students represent a broad cross-section of race, nationality, ethnicity, and gender. They come from some of our wealthiest communities and some of our poorest. In short, they represent each of us. What makes them special and allows them to thrive is their ability to connect with each other from lasting relationships and build a sense of family and community, even though they often arrive on our campus so different from each other and with a very narrow perspective of the world around them. They often find that a little civility and respect for their fellow men goes a long way in assuring their own shared growth and success. And it is noteworthy that our nation's first president thought that civility, in word and in deed, was so important that as a teen, he copied, quote, the 110 rules of civility developed by French Jesuit priests in the 16th century, and he used them as his guide throughout his life. He knew that in dealing with others, respect and appreciation for all were crucial to developing shared understanding. We happen to share that belief at MTSU, and I know that the Urban League does as well. So we created our own, quote, rules of civility that we call the True Blue Pledge. Introduced to our students at their first official orientation, Our pledge affirms the values, importance, and uniqueness of each individual, working in collaboration with each other for mutual success and the betterment of our community. Our students give and receive, listen and speak, all with the goal of creating a better world for all. So at your seat, we have provided you a copy of our True Blue Pledge. It looks like this. I hope that you will consider reading it later today, and I'm sure you'd be able to be a part of such an incredible event. Now, I shared with you that I do not believe we can have an important conversation about democracy, demanding diversity, and defeating poverty without a similar commitment to each other and our own communities. As history tells us, when our nation was first founded, the men and women drafted our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, established the foundation of our nation democracy. Now, while this group of men was guided by a flawed and a very narrow definition that, quote, all men are created equal, a bias that nearly 250 years later, our nation is still struggling to resolve, they nevertheless established the most basic principle that we still live by today. Paramount among those beliefs is that each and every citizen has a right to be represented and heard, a right that we express each time we go to the ballot box. It is the most important tool we have to support our values and express our concerns over who we elect and how we are represented. In looking around the country, in places like Atlanta, Georgia, and other parts of the nation, I find it extremely troubling when efforts are made to diminish or take away that basic right. It is well documented that efforts to restrict voter registration, reduce polling places, and demand singular means of personal identification all impact people of color at a much greater level than their non-minority counterparts. We must demand an end to political posturing and self-serving efforts to assemble voting districts which disenfranchise minority and underrepresented populations, and that voting precincts and districts fairly represent. They need to fairly represent the people. At the same time, as the late former Congressman John Lewis and so many others demanded and demonstrated through their action, we as a people must lead by example. It is important that we instill in our young generation an appreciation for history so that they may learn from the successes and the failures of the past and hopefully engage in activities that will make this country a better place for all. On our campus, however, we have actively engaged our student body in registering to vote. We believe that the actively participating in this most fundamental right is a building block in personal citizenship. And thanks to the effort of our Student Government Association, our own democracy project, and members of our faculty and staff, MTSU, ladies and gentlemen, has led the state 4 years in a row, all four-year institutions, in new voter registration. But we don't stop there. We provide opportunities for all of our university community to engage with candidates and learn about the issues. Defending democracy isn't just about the right to vote. It is about educating and informing the public, providing the opportunities to gain knowledge needed to make sound decisions. This is especially true for some of our most vulnerable population who often lack access to accurate information or the opportunity to engage. We must find ways to be more inclusive of all people. One of the biggest barriers many experience in voting is the lack of understanding, especially among our youngest voter. These young people often think and act differently than we do, and are being increasingly bombarded with misinformation. The falsehood and misrepresentations are presented on social media platforms such as TikTok, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, by nefarious actors both domestic and abroad, whose sole purpose is to sow discord and division among the population. In an effort to address that at MTSU, we have hosted state and national forums encouraging not only our students, but the broader mid-state community to come, listen, and ask questions and learn. It is unfortunate that our great state of Tennessee, a state that prides itself on high quality of life, has one of the nation's lowest rates of voter participation. Did you all know that? One of the lowest rates, the great state that is growing, that's supposed to be all fantastic. That must be addressed. The right to vote has limited value if we fail to exercise that right. Our nation grows more diverse each day, and with over 336 million people and counting, and residents from all corners of the globe, the U.S. is truly a representation of the world. I didn't say a melting pot. I want to make sure you get it. It is a representation, not a melting pot. And while our diversity should be our greatest strength, forces within the country often seek to use that to create divisiveness and chaos. The preamble of our Declaration of Independence, our most precious document, clearly demands equality for all. Yet when we allow people to be marginalized, others on the basis of race, gender, nationality, and the merit of other categories, we fail woefully of this great standard. And we must commit to a great inclusion of all people in all aspects of our society life. For some, exclusion and inclusion are two sides of the same coin. However, I respectfully beg to differ. Exclusion is the willful and often malicious intent to keep someone out, to prevent their participation or involvement. Laws were established to prevent exclusion and discrimination, but that is simply not enough. We must adjust the ways that we think about discrimination and how we can create communities that are welcoming to all men and all women. And while it's virtually important that we continue to demand an end to discriminatory practices in employment, housing, education, just to name a few, it is equally important that we work to unify people. Whereas discrimination is vulgar and demeaning, inclusion is much more positive and proactive. Inclusion is more of a mindset or culture. It is creating an environment where all are welcome and given the opportunity to succeed. It often starts at the most basic level of listening to and understanding the needs of others and finding ways to meet those needs. And outside of our state historically black colleges and universities, MTS is home of the state's largest population of first-generation and Pell-eligible students. And as we have a sustained minority population enrollment of 30% of that 20,000 students. These students share the same hopes and dreams and aspiration as every other student, but often economics, educational, and social constraints have left them feeling lost or disillusioned. We found that the need to connect with others and build a sense of community was often the foundation of their unique personal success stories. Through bridge programs, peer mentoring, and a commitment to success of every student on our campus, we are fostering a culture where every student sees an opportunity and is given the tools to build pathways to success. That is what needs to happen in our community, in our society, in our nation. And while success is not always as quick as we would like, the results are impressive. The U.S. News and World Report has ranked MTSU nationally for social mobility of our students. And this is the second year in a row that we've ranked in the top in the nation for social mobility. Through education and engagement, our students are succeeding in building a better lives for themselves. That's what we need to do for our community, for our nation. More importantly, when they enter the workforce, these students succeed and they're establishing themselves as leaders of the future. Now, while this is a relatively small example, it demonstrates the power of listening and engaging as we build a culture that welcomes all. But I have to ask, are we doing our part to promote and provide opportunities to those talented men and women who could be role models and mentors for our next generation of business, community, and professional and political leaders? As leaders of Nashville's community, each has the opportunity to influence young minds and inspire them to achieve. Each of us in our business and communities have similar opportunities to interact, encourage, and build more diverse society. We must seek out and break down the internal barriers that are preventing our underrepresented population from achieving the same success that those of us who are gathered here today. So in doing so, we will slowly but surely break down the walls that divide us. Nobel Prize winner and Harvard economic professor Amartya Sen once said, and I quote, "Poverty is the deprivation of opportunities," end of quote. And all, as we know, that the lack of opportunity disproportionately impact our underrepresented population, robbing them many of the same rights and respect that so many others enjoy. There are many reasons for poverty, including lack of education and social mobility, unemployment, insufficient skills of training, as well as mental health and addiction issues. But in a nation that leads the world in economic prosperity, it is unthinkable that we have failed to address and find solution to these problems. Personally solving a problem as systemic as poverty requires less of a broad brush approach and more a commitment to individuals. It is far too easy to consider the millions living on the streets or in substandard housing and say, quote, "There's nothing I can do," and turn away. But as the former First Lady Barbara Bush once said, and I quote, If human beings are perceived as potential rather than problems, as possessing strengths instead of weakness, as unlimited rather than dull, unresponsive, then they will thrive and grow to their capabilities. End of quote. So as a lifelong educator, I firmly believe that identifying the potential and cultivating those unique capabilities begin with education and a commitment to the individual. And at MTSU, that starts with a deep-held commitment that every student has the opportunity to learn and to grow. And so we commit ourselves, and I'm asking you to commit yourselves. We do as an institution, as the faculty and the staff, to the success of each and every member of our community. Providing our students with affordable education and engaging them in experiential program is the groundwork for employment with higher salaries and a better quality life. And as the Mid-State's largest producer of college graduates for our region's workforce, we believe that along with this access to education comes a commitment to opportunity. A chance for every student to explore a meaningful career and pursue their dreams and passion. At MTSU, that includes building pathways to a wide array of careers and opportunities in healthcare, hospitality, cybersecurity, logistics, just to name a few. It also means that those of us who are committed to serving the needs of our underrepresented students and our community must work more closely together. We need to collaborate and support each other. And an example of that, the spirit of a corporation, we just recently announced a success in obtaining over $1 million in support of engaging underrepresented students in quantum science. This grant will provide opportunities for students on our campus, at Fisk University, and at our area community colleges, and we have our president from Nashville State here, to explore and engage in this very exciting new era of study. But education is under attack, both politically and in our society. It is imperative that we fight for continued access to education for all people. The equality that the Constitution demands often begins in our schools, where students of all races, religion, and economic level develop the critical thinking and interpersonal skills needed to work collaboratively for a better of our society. Education alone is not the answer. Each of us must do our part to help our fellow men. And I firmly believe that it is far better to offer a hands up than a hands out. And I would challenge each of you today to find a way to make a difference in one life, not 20, not 100, just one, altering the trajectory of a single person creates a multiplier effect that can truly affect change. Now, as I said at the beginning, words alone cannot affect change. Change begins with each of us. The Urban League has a storied history of advocacy, offering a platform and tools that can help us constructively advance the needs of our Black community. In the spring of 2023, the National Urban League Conference, at that conference, on the important role of the League plays, Vice President Harris noted, and I quote, "For more than 100 years, this organization has worked to bring our country together in coalition in the collective fight for freedom, rights, and justice of all people. We know that we have more work to do, being clear-eyed about the moment we are in," end of quote. So it is clear that the mission has never been more important for the Urban League than it is today. And I am convinced that through Empowerment 2.0 initiative and many other programs, that commitment of each of you here today, we will even see greater progress being made. So, ladies and gentlemen, our task is clear. The challenge and the reward is great. My question to you today, will you answer the call? Thank you so much for having me. Many blessings. Thank you.
Dr. McPhee, you've been a rock star in Middle Tennessee and the state of Tennessee for a long time, so the Urban League thought it proper and fitting that we give you your own gold record.
At this time, we would like to thank our wonderful sponsors. I'd like to draw your attention to our program, and in that program, there's a list of our sponsors. And one of the things that I want you to note is in those situations where you can support these sponsors personally and also refer these sponsors in your network, please do, because these sponsors are the reason that we get to do programs like this and forward our programs in the Urban League. So we would like to say thank you, and we'd also like to acknowledge our special thanks to Amazon, HCA, and Nissan. We have a video presentation at this time.
Finish line isn't always a place or something you can see. Sometimes there isn't even a finish line. It's just a race. The race against time, against illness, and the race for answers. There will be difficult days, moments that test your resolve. But other days you win. You beat the odds. You are gloriously triumphant. And the next day, you suit up, you show up, and you begin again.
Greetings from Nissan Americas. Nissan's North Star is better conversations lead to better actions, and it serves as our blueprint to create a culture where employees, customers, and partners feel respected, valued, and heard. We have made a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we are holding ourselves accountable.
This is how change happens. This is not a moment in time, but a journey to a much stronger Nissan and society. A core value of Nissan's DEI strategy is to build relationships and make a societal impact in the communities that employees, dealers, customers, and suppliers call home.
Promoting diversity is just good business. Nissan for everyone.
As board chair, I am delighted to have the opportunity to acknowledge some very committed individuals and corporations whose diligence and unwavering support have truly set the Urban League apart. As I call each of your names, please join President Harris and I on stage. The Chairman's Award for Outstanding Service, we'd like to invite the Honorable Howard Gentry, Criminal Court Clerk of Metro Nashville, to the stage. The Chairman's Award for Outstanding Service also to Jackson National. Chairman's Award for Outstanding Community Leader, Dr. Glenda Glover, President of Tennessee State University. Dr. Glover could not be with us here today, so we will send her award on behalf of President Glover. I'm sure she's grateful for that acknowledgement. And the Chairman's Award for Outstanding Board Member goes to Herbert Brown, Community and Citizen Director of Turner Construction. And favorite. At this time, I'd like to introduce Tempest Utley, Chief Operations Officer of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Hang with us. I know it's a little past 1, but I promise we're almost there. I am Tempest Utley, and I am proud to be an Urban Leaguer. I just want to tell you a quick story why the Urban League is so dear to my heart. Many years ago, after completing my MBA, I was at the crossroad of my career. What's next? What's my next move? And my father, many of you may know him, Jared Utley, suggested that I give the Urban League a call. And that was many, many, many years ago. And I did. I called the workforce department, made an appointment, went in, and was able to get help with my resume. But not only help with my resume, I was also given help with the interview skills. We think everybody knows what that includes, but they do not. So that's very important. And luckily, thankfully, I did receive the job. I'm relocated to Los Angeles because of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee and the support that they gave me during that process. After I returned back to Nashville, of course, it was a natural time for me to go back to the Urban League. How could I not? I was actually on the board for 8 years, and then I was the interim president. Some of you probably did not know that. And now I'm here, honored to be the COO of the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. So at this time, that's just one of many, many stories. I'm just one person that has this story. There are thousands of other people in our community that use the Urban League yearly. And in order for us to continue to do what we do and what we're passionate about, we need your support. So now it's time for you to play your part. Here we go. If each one of you just gives $100 today, it's an investment. That would be an additional $50,000 for the Urban League of Middle Tennessee's programs. So right now, pick up your little booklet. Hello, pick up your little booklets. It's your time. And there's a wonderful QR code. Hover your camera over. Make your investment right here. So one thing I just want to remind you of. What we do empowers our community. Let's say that again. The Urban League of Middle Tennessee empowers our community, and it changes lives in our community. And that's what we like to continue to do. So thank you so much for your generosity. I see people clicking. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you here next year. But we have Mr. President, we're closing. So thank you all.
At this time, I get the pleasure of asking two corporations to join me on the stage, representatives, for the Outstanding Corporate Partners. The board now chose in reverse order because, like, I understand your pain because Urban League always get to go last and stuff. The Tennessee Valley Authority, and our second Chairman's Award for Outstanding Corporate Partnership goes to Amazon. Woo! Now come on down.
All the way down?
Yeah.
All the way down? Can we have a podium in front? Where's the, where was the, I was like, where is it? I don't want that. Come on, come closer. Come on. Circle up.
All right. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce my colleague who drove all the way from here, from Knoxville, to join us, Dr. Charles Lomax, who is my partner in crime, my colleague who runs a Knoxville Urban League affiliate. Thank you, for joining us today. And his right-hand man and all who helps him run the organization, Dr. Harris and stuff. So thank you, for joining us. And as always, thank you all. Y'all look so beautiful. But there is, again, like I always do, there's one lady in the crowd that catches my eye at table number 4 who's wearing an all black and white. She's rocking that today. So y'all join me in welcoming my wife, Alfreda Harris. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the staff, which I call the A-Team, and the great board of directors, our most sincere thanks for your joining us today. As you might guess, months of work has gone into bringing today's event to fruition. And we sincerely thank each of you for the role you have played in making our 56th annual Equal Opportunity Day a tremendous success. As you heard earlier in the message from our national president, Mark Morial, and you've seen on the front of your programs, the D3 initiative to defend democracy, to demand diversity, and defeat poverty will be our guidepost that directs our work this year. An organization committed to empowering communities and changing lives, we continue to pledge to fight for you. It has often been said, we will fight until hell freezes over. And when that happens, what the Urban League will do, just like the Predators, we'll strap on our skates and fight even harder. And so we invite you to join us in our fight as we initiate strategies driven by equity to advance workforce development, economic development, community development, education, career exploration, and civic engagement in closing the disparities which impact our neighborhoods and communities. We ask you that you join us in the movement and help us build better lives. And there are a few things that I want you to be on the lookout for in 2024. In March of this year, the State of Black America will be released by the National Urban League. In April of 2024, the State of Black Middle Tennessee will be released by the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. We will also launch satellite offices in Rutherford, Wilson, and Williamson County. And the representatives for each of those counties are here today. For Rutherford County, representing Pastor, I've gone blank. That's Pastor James McCarroll will represent Rutherford County. Wilson County will be, where's Pastor McCarroll? Is he still? No, keep standing. And Wilson County will be represented by Tiffany Wright. I saw Tiffany in here somewhere, Okay. And Williamson County will be represented now by Michonne Smith. And I know I saw Michonne here earlier as well. So if you would like to join the fight with these individuals in our expansion to broaden our presence in Middle Tennessee, please see one of these individuals before you go today. Thank you all so much for your work. We will also expand our small business initiative which will be headed by LaTanya Channels, who could not be with us today, but will be joining the Urban League team in March. And so, yes, we are doing more in 2024, and we invite you to join the movement. And before I adjourn our meeting today, I want to take one point of privilege and to ask now that, if you will, join me in join me in giving a happy birthday to Miss McPhee. Today is her birthday, so would you stand, please? And I put a little something in the card just for you. Now, you don't have to share it with Dr. McPhee, but it's just for you. So, on three, happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. And I hope you like the party we threw for you today. So, we encourage you all to join the movement. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you and all for spending your morning, your afternoon and all with us. Consider the 56th Annual Equal Opportunity Day Luncheon adjourned. Thank you and have a great day.